Hello. Welcome back to the England One Cap podcast. My name is Robert Prendergast. Your name is?
Callum Shaw.
How are you feeling today, Callum? Are you excited for the player that we're going to talk about?
I am. I'm excited to be back talking about an England One Cap and said One Cap. I'd be lying if I said that it's the most I've been excited for an England One Cap player, but all the same, I'm ready to jump in, mate. Good to go.
He's a little bit of an anomaly, I think, in many ways on the list of England One Cap podcasts. He's a bit different for the rest of them, but in many ways, this guy's my absolute hero. But we'll delve into that later.
I'd like to know what ways, but
maybe hero is a strong word. He's no Stephen Roy Corker. Let's say that.
Definitely not.
I've got no small talk to say, so let's go straight into it. The player
let's get in there. Yeah.
This week is none other than Jay Bothroyd or Bothroyd. I haven't thought until this moment until I said it then.
I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have thought about it. It's been on my mind all morning. It kept me up last night for a good 10 minutes. I've always said Bothroyd because if it was Bothroyd, why is it not another O?
Yeah.
But how does AD Bothroyd spell his name? Because I've always said AD Bothroyd. I don't know if it's the same spelling or not.
I don't know. I've spelt Jay Bothroyd's. No, actually, let's commit to one. I've spelled his name wrong every time I've Googled him. I've typed in two and it says, "Did you mean James Jay Bothroyd?" And I'm like, "Do I mean that? I don't know."
He was on Soccer AM recently, so maybe we should have watched that to find out what you actually pronounce his name. But
normally I did watch that. And I just never really he's a lot of Jay Bothroyd content about at the minute.
There is.
He's back over in England. Great episode of the Joe's podcast. Joe, is it All to Play For? Joe Coast.
Yeah. I've seen clips. I saw a clip of when he was on it. I've not watched it in full. But yeah, I did watch a few clips. Yeah.
It's decent. If there's anything I like, it's 3 mediocre England players. Chatting about football.
It's our wet dream, really, isn't it?
It's a bit, really. All right, Bothroyd. No middle name, so we don't have any confusion about that this week.
Yeah, it's a shame, but the intrigue over the pronunciation of the surname makes up for the lack of middle name.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could say the very same thing about being Robert Prendergast with no middle name. So one of my many similarities of Jay Bothroyd.
One of many.
Arsenal Academy. A very impressive Arsenal Academy around those days. With Wenger. I was thinking about this. It's weird how Wenger's influence on the academy. I never hear any other club talking about the manager of the first team having so much influence in the youth team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the big benefits of having a long-term manager who just happens to be one of the best managers of all time as well, is that because you build that project, you've got that project. So then from the foundation, the manager wants the academy to play the same way as the first team.
Yeah.
And he'll monitor that very closely as well.
Yeah.
We're starting to see it at Leeds as well. I think it's a good model, personally.
Me too.
If you're going to stick with that play for a long time, obviously, if you're a club that chops and changes managers all the time, then what's the point? But
which 85-90% of clubs do at the minute, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
But he didn't play for Arsenal, did he? When he was 18, he got transfer listed.
Yeah.
I've heard him talk about it. When you read it online, it says because he threw his T-shirt at the youth team manager. I've never heard him say
Yeah.
this. I don't think so.
Yeah, I read that. I've never heard about it, but I don't know. It could have happened, but who are we to say? I suppose.
Who we say the slanderer one cap.
Exactly.
But he goes to Coventry, and he was excited about going to Coventry because at the time they had Robbie Keane.
Yes.
And he was buzzing to play because that was the selling point. It was going to be in the classic 4-4-2, one big striker, one small striker, playing alongside Robbie Keane. Yeah. I think any big striker would love that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's a straight up as your first transfer for $1 million, by the way, for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, man, 2000.
Decent amount of time to go to another Premier League team at the time. I'd say that's pretty big. Like, I'm not sure we'd see much of that now. Like, it's very, very much in the era now where you go out on loan first, and then if you're not quite there, then like you go to a championship team or like maybe even go abroad. So yeah, we don't really see that a lot these days. So yeah, pretty cool that he got that fairly big move.
Yeah, it is probably quite weird he didn't go on loan, really, because he was highly rated at Arsenal. But so
well, does that bleed into the chucking the T-shirt at the manager theory?
I think so.
But we're joining the dots there.
But he was like, yeah, so he was happy to go play with Robbie Keane. Then Robbie Keane went into Milan shortly after he arrived. So
yeah, well, Coventry were in a bit of a financial mess.
Yeah,
they had to sell all their big players, which I suppose in a way kind of benefited Bothroyd towards the end of that because he ended up being pretty much their main striker for the last season there in the Prem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He very quickly became one of the big players there.
Yeah,
didn't he? Because of their whole financial situation.
Yeah, he's their top goal scorer in 02-03 it was.
Yeah, I got it. It's always 72 games, 14 goals I've written. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Got to be more than 14.
Yeah, I know that it was very much more cups and subs for the first 2 years. It was more the last season where I think he literally played pretty much every game, scored 11 league goals, which for a relegated team, double digits.
Yeah,
like they probably didn't score a lot of goals. I'd say it's fairly impressive. But yeah, then Coventry went down.
Yeah,
and his next move.
I don't put cup goals on my my stats just because Wikipedia doesn't at the very top, so I can't do too much research, can I? Then he weirdly went to well, maybe he was really trying to emulate Robbie Keane. Went to Italy to a team called Perugia.
Yeah,
Perugia.
It's a tough day for us to pronounce certain things.
Fucking hell! What we need to sort out some pronunciation on this podcast.
we need to get on Google Translate before, and when the woman speaks to you, you can click the little speak thing. You can hear. Should have done that, but I think Perugia sounds nice. Either way.
Spoiler alert a bit. I wish we thought about pronunciations before we started recording an episode in which we're going to have to mention 3 Asian teams towards the end.
Yeah, apologies in advance.
Went to Perugia for 2 years. Not a team I really know about. Are they still in Serie A? No. I'm even going to say they might not even be in the second division anymore, but they're in and around the Italian. Yeah, it's still
the Italian EFL.
Yeah. And do you know who one of his teammates was when he was there?
Was it Gaddafi's son?
Yeah, Colonel Gaddafi's son.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
They were like pretty decent mates as well.
They were because when he got there were a few English speakers, but because he arrived in the summer, they were all off on international duty or had extended holiday. So he just arrived just with the Italians and Colonel Gaddafi's son, who spoke English. So as like the only other English speaker, they got along quite well. He said in a podcast, he's like, I know about all the atrocities, but I didn't see any of that on the training pitch. But yeah, they were good mates apparently. He tells this story about how Gaddafi's son said, "Oh, do you want to go shopping with me this weekend?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. I'll send a driver to pick you up." And the driver comes to pick him up and drives him to the airport where a private jet's waiting for him. He's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "Oh, you're going to Milan to go shopping." He's like, "Oh, right." Private jet just for him, meets Gaddafi's son in Milan, where his entourage carrying briefcases full of money.
That is just crazy. It's crazy. But he didn't expect that to be happening when he signed for Perugia. Yeah,
and he says in this episode as well, he said, "I went to a party with him. That's where I met my wife." And he keeps talking. I'm like, that sounds like a more interesting story, perhaps. You met your wife at a party with Colonel Gaddafi's son.
Yeah. It says he's got they're still together, him and his Italian wife. Well,
the magic of
good for him. Yeah, something in the war there, clearly.
He only played once for Colonel Gaddafi's son. He's a Peruvian one cap, so.
I don't think he liked it out there, and I think he said that quite a lot of racist abuse out there as well. Which
it's bad everywhere, but Italy's the one you hear about that quite a lot, isn't it?
Italy is. We hear it a lot more in the mainstream, and that's probably because it does happen there. Well, like you said, it happens a lot everywhere, but yeah, Italy does seem to be one of the worst countries footballing wise, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is strange because there's been a lot of black players playing Italy for a long time now. But yeah, there we go.
Got to move back to England. Sorry, no. Loan move to Blackburn. Premier League at the time. Blackburn been in the Championship for ages, didn't they? But they're Premier League at the time.
Premier League, yeah.
Did bang average. Didn't he? Really?
Yeah. It's weird that he managed to get a loan back to the Prem when he hadn't been really doing anything at Perugia, and I suppose he did fairly well at Coventry. But it's just weird to me that these players used to get constant chances to go back to the Prem, because if his career path was happening now, he'd be already in the Championship.
Yeah, I think maybe though. I think when you're a young English striker, I think sometimes when you're hyped up as a young English striker, sometimes you have a bigger window to impress. I think,
that's true.
If you're hyped up in the youth and you don't hit it straight away, Dominic Solanke maybe, because he's not. It's taken him a long time to do anything, and he'd have to go into the Championship to score goals. Solanke, but he had a long period of not impressing. But because he was in the England youth system, he's had a few more chances. So maybe that happens a bit more with strikers. I think they get a bit of a longer to prove themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I still think Solanke still can't be very old, right? He's Solanke's got a great chance still to feature for England, I think, personally. But
already has featured for England one time.
Oh, already has, but
in one cap.
More times. Oh yeah, no, maybe we don't want him to. Or conflicted now.
I don't want him to. I mean, that's. Let's stop talking about it. We're wasting all of our Solanke content.
Yeah. Another time.
Back to Jay. Blackburn. Then he gets a permanent move to Charlton. He plays for a lot of teams that used to be better than they are now. And I think I've said that before on this podcast, but
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the type of players we sometimes talk about, it does lend themselves to that criteria. But yeah. But yeah, Coventry, Blackburn, Charlton. There's definitely a pattern developing.
Well, the pattern will continue.
Yeah.
Charlton, was it one season, 18 games, 2 goals? Not
Yeah.
great, but...
It's not. It's always hard with those stats though, because I don't want to go back and look how many times Jay Bothroyd came on as a sub for Charlton Athletic, but you just wonder how many were actually sub appearances. Because then, if he's only had a limited amount of start and he scored 2 goals, you think, well,
yeah,
kind of do what you can.
You're right. That's true. Also, 05-06, Darren Bent was there, wasn't he? He was.
He was, yeah.
And he was baller at the time for Charlton. He was banging them in. So
he was a gunman, yeah.
If they were sticking to the common 4-4-2, the little and large striker, if he was playing alongside Darren Bent, you could argue he's probably doing quite a good job,
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this as well. I also read at this time when he was going to leave Charlton that he had a trial with Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
But I didn't even want to try and read any more into this because I just loved it. I just loved the intrigue on its own. But he went on a pre-season tour to the USA at Crystal Palace. People knew he'd gone. Came back and denied that he was on trial with Crystal Palace, despite being in the USA with them. I don't know why he's trying to deny it, but yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, because they didn't offer him a contract. Yeah. So I don't know if he's embarrassed and he's saying, I didn't even want one, I wasn't even there. But everyone's like, Jay, we saw you. You were in America with him. We saw you.
Yeah, it's like in a relationship, he's been dumped, but he's trying to say it was mutual.
Yeah. Charlton, then he goes to Wolves, where he has a good couple of years, 55 games, 12 goals. These are league appearances and goals, just to clarify. Respectable. Wolves at that time, we talked about Wolves in that period a few podcasts ago when we were doing Matt Jarvis, I think.
Yeah.
I think they bought a few strikers in at a similar time. They brought in, did they bring in Sylvan Ebanks Blakes the same window?
Yeah, I think maybe the one after. I think he went to Wolves in the summer, but Ebanks Blake came in January with, I think, was it a guy called Kevin Kyle, who kind of used to drifting around the Championship on loan. So yeah, he kind of found himself out of the fold a bit. But yeah, it seemed a bit unfortunate because I think he very much started playing, got injured, and then kind of struggled, and then kind of never really got back to his good start, from what I gather.
Didn't have the best relationship with Mick McCarthy, from what I hear, what I read, which happens a few times.
It's totally imaginable, isn't it? It's
put together that story of the throw in the shirt. Yeah, Mick would not have that for a second, would he?
No, he wouldn't. He absolutely wouldn't.
No. So a couple of years there, goes on loan to Stoke, which I think, of course he would play for Stoke.
Yeah, on the P list as well. It just reeks of it.
Yeah, it does. That was his 4 games, no goals. And then he goes to a club which perhaps I certainly associate him with.
It's the main one. Also worth quickly pointing out because this is the most, well, apart from the one cut, it's the most interesting part. Stoke got promoted to the Prem that season when Bothroyd was there.
But, really?
Because he barely played. It's obviously just he just went back to Wolves. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for him. But there we go. Cardiff,
2008 to 2011. 116 games, 41 goals. Good.
Yeah, good. Solid.
Solid
Championship. And it's probably worth saying as well that Bothroyd, as quite a tall striker, his game wasn't all about goals. So when I was looking, I did think whenever I saw him play that the amount of goals he scored probably isn't a fair reflection on its own of because he was a decent, solid championship striker. Very held it well. I think he got quite a few assists as well via link-up play with a smaller striker, the classic big man, little man.
He hates that though, and well, a lot of the big man strikers hate being called like a target man, or they like resent the role sometimes, you know. And he's the same.
I think it's because traditionally the big man was like not as much technical ability as a smaller man. Very much there to win headers and be a nuisance. But a lot of the big strikers we've had kind of over the last 10, maybe even 20 years have actually been, they've got really good feet. A lot of them, like Peter Crouch had great feet. Bothroyd, great feet. One I think of for some reason, it's a bit of a niche, but McGoldrick for Sheffield United, I don't know where he's gone now. No, he's still there. He's got good feet for a big man. So yeah, I think a lot of them now are actually better footballers than the big man phrase would suggest.
Yeah, completely agree with that. So this is where he gets his England call up. He has, I think, in his second season there, he gets 12 goals the first season, 11 goals the second season. In the second season, gets an England call up, and plays against France. Yes,
in a friendly. Yeah.
Yes, at Wembley. And I was thinking this. It's like, Patrick Bamford got a one cap, got his debut, and is a one cap against Andorra. Not disrespecting Andorra, but David Bothroyd played against France at Wembley. That's a great England game, isn't it? That's a great game.
It's a great, yeah, it's great, especially that France team is a very good team.
Oh, great team.
Even though that period it was when they kind of weren't performing very well at the big competitions.
Yeah.
But as a group of individuals,
great players,
top players.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very typical. It's so Capello, this squad we played. It was so he didn't start Jay Bothroyd. Andy Carroll started. And it was like talking about the big man up top.
Yeah.
Capello was so convinced of like a big man will win that game because he had Andy Carroll on, didn't score. He's like, okay, bring on Jay Bothroyd. He hasn't scored yet. Okay, bring on Peter Crouch. Crouch scores with his first touch.
There he is.
And Capello's like, 3 big men. That's the.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the highlights for this one. We got absolutely battered, didn't we?
Yeah.
We looked a bit. I don't remember hating it at the time, but I hated our kit with the white top and the blue shorts.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think I liked it at the time, but looking back, I don't know. The colour of blue, just like, I don't know. It's something just wasn't right about it. I think it was just standing out too much. I don't know.
I think it's the negative association of that period. I think
maybe.
It's like
yeah.
It's like you know how there's that color on cigarette packets, which is meant to mentally make you be disgusted by the color. I think that's for me that period of England kit, because it's just so.
Yeah,
if you think about Hodgson and the Capello era, it's a bit dull, isn't it?
I even saw it in the background of Wembley at the advertising that game. They were trying to advertise the kit as like kind of like a new shade or sort of like a new blue or something like that. Because obviously, like there wasn't any red at all on it. It was literally just the white and the blue, and a blue that we haven't really seen before. Yeah, maybe it is just the negative connotations at that time, but yeah,
we've said it when we've watched England games. We play in red. I think we look at each other like. I love it when we play in red. It just feels right with England.
Yeah. I totally agree. Red with England will always look the classiest for sure.
I say banging the Brazil badge on my shirt.
Yeah.
The highlights for that game is so funny. Andy Carroll and Jordan Henderson's debut, by the way.
Yes.
For 2-0 down, Crouch comes on, scores the first touch of the game. Great goal, feet as well. Great goal. Volley from the corner.
Lovely goal. Yeah.
And he starts running away because he knows he scored a good goal. He starts running, arms out to the crowd, and it's as if he realizes, oh shit, no, we're 2-1 down. Like he thought he got the equaliser. And he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He phases it out.
Had to run back and get the ball.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But yeah, because it was great on the highlight I watched on YouTube, because they gave like a proper bit to Jay Bothroyd coming on.
Yeah.
For Andy Carroll. Great substitution, by the way. And the highlight after, he so nearly gets on the end of one for a tap-in. Literally like a little deflection, just takes it behind him, I think, or just in front of him. And yeah, the look on his face, he was like, he thought he had it, but wasn't to be.
Adam Johnson ball in.
Yeah.
Sorry for any technical issues there. But it started going funny exactly as I said, Adam Johnson, which I think, hey, we're still recording now, so it worked that time. Maybe that's just a lesson for me to learn. Don't talk about Adam Johnson on podcasts. Yeah. But
yeah, noted.
The ball comes in from the unnamed winger, which was a shot. It was a shot. It wasn't a ball. It was a shot.
It was a shot.
And Bothroyd, pretty close. But he didn't touch it and it didn't go in, unfortunately. When he come on, like 70-something minutes, so we had, 20 minutes to play.
Yeah.
And was okay, It's like we said it at one point, flavour of the month striker for England.
Yeah.
It's called up. Been plenty of them around, and there'll be a few more.
But another championship call up like Nugent was when he got it, which we said it with Nugent, but you don't see them often. You definitely don't see them a lot anymore. I think he was like the first Cardiff player to be given an England cap in their club history.
Yes. Yeah.
Up until that point, was Corker at Cardiff when he got it? I actually can't remember now.
No.
Spurs.
He's at Spurs. I think.
No, yeah. So he's potentially still the only Cardiff player to be given an England cap.
I don't know who else would have got one. No, he's got to be the only one.
Yeah.
And we haven't had many championship players since. I mean, we said Sam Johnson had
Sam Johnson, recently. Yeah.
Did Calvin Phillips play when he was in the championship? Got called up?
No, there was. Yeah, I don't think he even did. There was big rumours that he was going to be, and everyone thought he was going to be. But then I remember, I think Southgate kind of rang him up, and yeah, I think it was quite apparent that he was only going to give him a cap once he was kind of Premier League proven kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then he got it quickly after we played a few games in the Prem. So
yeah, I think Mason Mount got called up when he was at Derby, but I don't think he played.
Did he? That's interesting. Yeah. So he definitely didn't play, but yeah, he could have got a call
up. So yeah, a relatively uneventful England one cap, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He always talks to the immense pride he has for having got it, and for playing at Wembley against France. Big game. Better than playing against Andorra. I think that's
well, like I say, when he's playing at Cardiff and he's very much established his level, he probably at that point thought, the England dream's looking slim, and then to get it whilst he's in former championship team, it must have meant a lot to him. So yeah, that's nice. That's nice for Jay. Probably then the peak of his career in England.
well, Wales actually, but in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Then he goes to QPR, a couple of seasons, 25 games, 3 goals.
Yeah, which they just got promoted at the time, or it was their second season. I think they just got promoted, and what a chance to like get back, play at the top level. Like, you've had your England cap the year before, you've now got to move to Premier League team. But yeah, it just didn't quite work out again for him, which is a shame.
That era of QPR was a bit of a false dawn for a few people, though, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah, looking back, well, they're in the Prem, so good for them. But some of the players they just brought in so many players. There's there's a picture, and it's at the start of Premier League years and other stuff, but it's Neil Warnock in a full QPR kit.
I knew we'd get him in there at some point.
Yeah, there he is. Tick. Content tick. And it's Neil Warnock in his full QPR away kit, I think, bright orange, terrible look. And he's got about 11 or 12 players standing round him. And Jay Bothroyd must be one of them. He must be one of them. I couldn't find it because I think it's only on that Premier League years clip. I just couldn't find it. But yeah, and there's about 12 of these QPR players from that season. Because they just tried to bring them all in. But yeah, there's probably too many players in there for him to really shine.
Yeah, absolutely. During that period, he went on loan to Sheff Wed, 14 games, 1 goal. And that spell, despite the fact he left QPR in 2013 and was still playing up until the end of 2021, last games in United Kingdom, wasn't it? Yeah, which is strange. And just to make a little one cap tie-in from the podcast, Jay Bothroyd scored in the same game where Chris Kirkland got punched in the face by a Leeds fan, which I've already talked about, so we don't need that again. But yeah, there we go. Nice little tie in there. Was that the 25 yards out he scored that game?
Oh, now you're asking.
He scored a worldie against Leeds. At some point.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, that was for Wolves in it was the literally last minute, last kick of the game back in we're talking 05, 06, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, out of his feet, curled it in. Yeah. That was I can't remember his goal in that Kirkland punch game. But yeah, he scored. That's all that matters. Yeah.
I mentioned the end of his UK playing career in the hope that you would pronounce the name of the next team, but it's fine. I'll try and do it.
I'll give it a go if you want.
Go
on. Yeah. So January 2014, he put his backpack on and went over to Thailand to play for Wangtong United.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't want to say thong. Let's just put.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. Come on.
Yeah, come on. We're a PG podcast. Yeah. Wangtong United sounds good to me. I'm really sorry if I've butchered that, but yeah,
that's all right. I'll do the next one, but I'm sure you've done a great job. You're there. 16 games, 6 goals. I think potentially his best return rate in his career up until that moment. Robbie Fowler used to manage them. Do you remember that? He was their manager. Yes. And did he player manager in 2011, 2012?
Yeah, maybe? I think definitely that era. There was that era. Robbie Fowler did he play in Australia for a bit as well?
Yeah, 2 teams.
Similar
Perth Glory and Melbourne Victory, and it was
Melbourne Victory.
Brisbane Roar.
Yes. Yeah, how weird.
Yeah. And by the way, when I said Jay Bothroyd is in many ways my hero, I didn't mean shirt throwing. I meant this is the career I would like to have as a footballer. I'd be a one cap, then that'll bring a few more viewers in. But no, I love the fact he's at the end of his career, he's using it just to travel. I don't know if it's enforced, if that's the only places he can play, but this is what I would want to do. He went to Italy when he was a young man. Career in England was drying up a bit. Goes over to Thailand for a year, and then the next 6 years he spent in Japan. He goes from a Mao Tong to Jubileo Iwata.
Yeah, Jubileo Iwata. Yeah,
Jubileo
very
Iwata.
nicely done.
Thank you. In Japan, that is, where he absolutely banged some goals in. 54 games, 34 goals. Very good.
Yes, and they were second division when he joined, and he was a big part of their promotion to the Japanese first division, the J1 league. So yeah, very successful.
Yeah,
I don't know if Jubilee Iwata are still in the J1, but maybe they declined after J Juncture. You never know.
Yeah, perhaps. He went to Hokkaido something. He went to Hokkaido after that.
I was going to say let's just keep it to Hokkaido because it's too much. The full name's too much.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Larry played 107 games and scored 35 goals. I was watching some of his J League highlights, all of his goals. He's a tall striker, and generally the players were shorter over there, and because that happens a lot. Marouane Fellaini has played in Charlton, has played half the amount of games he played for United, and has scored twice the amount of goals, mainly headers, because he's bigger than everyone. It's the average height there is lower, and he's massive. I'm looking at Jay Bothroyd's highlights. Says he doesn't want to be a big man. He's scoring a lot of headers.
Yeah. Being tall, useful skill to have a lot of the time, especially when you're already a tall player in England. But yeah, like you say, when the players are generally a lot smaller than you, why not put that to good use?
Exactly.
And you get to live in what I'm sure is a great country like Japan. I'd love to go. Never been, but I'm sure I had a lovely time.
Well, get him a few more inches.
Yeah.
We'll get you
Put
there.
myself some compost. Get me going.
It's worth adding. This is up to 2021, which was last year. That he played for them. And he's 39 at this point. He's the oldest playing England one cap at the minute. So he's had such a long career. 2000, he made his debut for Coventry. That's a long career.
It's a long career. Yeah.
Yeah, but very really impressive. And I'm not sure if he's technically still playing or not, or looking.
So it's weird because when I was doing my vast research, I was looking at his social media, and there wasn't like a post or anything about him leaving, but there was a post about him leaving on his wife's Instagram.
God, you've done some digging there, haven't you?
I have. I went down a bit of a wormhole. And yeah, quite recently, kind of just before Christmas, before he came back to the UK, back to London, she put a post saying thank you to Hokkaido for supporting Jay and stuff. So one would assume that he doesn't play for them anymore. But I think I'm not going to say a hero, but he's pretty highly regarded in Japan by a lot of the people. I was looking at his Twitter, and it seemed like he very much embraced a lot of the culture there as well. He was sharing a lot of Japanese street art and paintings and stuff like that. Spoke very highly about a lot of people that he met in Thailand and Japan. Good for him.
Like I say, mate, that would be my absolute dream. I'd play big football in England for a bit, but I'd love to do the Jay Bothroyd or the Robbie Fowler and just go just backpacking, but being paid to play football at the same time.
It's great because I know what we're like. We'll look at a player and see they're playing in the MLS, I'm like, oh, of course he is. But when they're playing somewhere like Thailand or Japan or something like
Yeah.
that, it's just great. It makes them more endearing. There's something great about it.
It is. It shows
And I know
character.
we both love that. Yeah. It's just something different. It's what we like.
So I hope he's still playing. I mean, it says the wiki page says he has now retired. He has retired in 2021. Not seen any statement about that. Not seen any statement about that. His when I've heard him speak on a podcast, they said, "Oh, so you're home for Christmas, are you, to see the family?" And he said, "Yes." So don't know if that means he's planning to go out. I mean, my prediction, I see him going Derby to the end of the season.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Because there's been a lot of, again, on his Twitter, a lot of people probably kind of half joking about him potentially going to Derby.
Really?
Yeah, Derby, and there's people joking about him going somewhere else as well, and kind of saying to the fans, like, "Oh, trying to get behind it." But I think he's part joking. Maybe he isn't, but maybe we'll see. You never know.
I see him going Derby. It's ex England retirement home, isn't it? Really,
it is. Yeah, could happen. Or could even just see him playing, in the conference or one of like the National League North or South. Just chill a bit more, enjoy his family time. But yeah, we'll see what the future lies for Jay.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of content at the moment, Soccer AM and on Joe and stuff like that. And he's only recently left Japan, so I imagine we'll find out in the very short future, which would be great publicity for us.
Yeah, I saw a few Soccer AM bits, and he came across really well. And like you say, he's doing a lot of these media appearances, so maybe he'll just kind of slip into that role. But yeah. We'll back him whatever he does. Well,
tell me if you'll back him after this question. Callum, Jay Bothroyd, do you think he was lucky to get that England 1 cap? Do you think he deserved more? Or do you think 1 cap is fair, but that's enough?
Well, feel like I'm under pressure now, saying I'll back him whatever he does. But no, I'll have to stay true and say that I think he was probably a bit lucky. I think you summed it up quite well before when you said it was very much one of those flash of the pan English strikers that hit a bit of form and they just get a call up to get them that cap so they can't play for anyone else. That I feel like that happens a lot. I feel like similar stuff might have happened with Jay. And yeah, I think he was a bit lucky. Yeah, I think there was probably better English strikers around at the time. But I'm glad he got his 1 cap, obviously, or else where would we be now? But yeah. But yeah, lucky for me is my official verdict. What about you?
Yeah, I agree, and I agree. I like to disagree with you for the illusion of drama, but I completely agree.
Yeah,
we had some great strikers. Sort of,
we
didn't really get the recognition they deserved. And even in the time he did get called up, let's say he was still playing great when he got called up, and I am going to refer to him as the big man striker in this. Andy Carroll and Carrick were at the same game and were better,
Yeah.
And this is 2010. Capello played Heskey in the 2010 World Cup. These are good big man strikers, and I don't really understand. No disrespect to Jay, I don't. So I think he was lucky to get the 1 cap. Like the guy, but
yeah. All I potentially will say, especially after you mentioned Heskey, is that the English strikers at that time, the established ones, very good, but a few of them getting a bit older. So what Capello was potentially thinking is, especially with Carroll, probably Carroll more than Bothroyd, is can we get a few younger ones that we can come through and build up? Because Crouch, Defoe weren't going to be at the top of their England people, especially, and Heskey especially. So apart from Rooney, we kind of lacked any like striker in their prime or any upcoming striker. That we struggled with that for a while until we got Kane.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Yeah, completely agree with that. Right, I reckon we should wrap it up whilst this Wi-Fi is holding on, because we've had a few connection issues.
We have.
I think we're all right now. But yeah, what a pleasure to be back talking about England One Cat Wonders with you, Callum. And I'm sure
yes, mate,
we'll have a few more soon. We had a commenter wanting a Francis Jeffers episode. I'm sure we could get around to him at some point.
Yeah, for sure. We need to reward the support we get from people.
The ever-growing fan base.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. Great to be back. Really enjoyed it.
Pleasure is all mine, mate. This has been the England One Cat podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll be with you soon.